Welcome to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm Woody Zimmerman here with Mark Skabowski of Remax Lakes, and welcome to the show.
Here we are. Good morning.
Good morning, and you're back from a little trip, family vacation.
We did. I'm doing No Shave November.
Oh, yeah.
So I got the Santa Claus beard going
Yeah,
on.
looks good, man.
As I've aged, I used to think I had brown hair.
No,
It's white.
right, yeah.
It's
yeah,
white.
Yeah.
And the beard is now white. It was red at one time.
Was it
That's
really?
Scotsman. Yeah, that's Scottish in me. It was all red.
Okay, so like for my dad, he still has brown hair, but then when the beard comes in, it's gray. So he
Interesting.
doesn't do the beard.
No.
Yeah,
Well, it's all white, and it's all white that it's white.
Yeah, it's all white.
It's all white. It's all white.
So interesting topic today because we're coming here. We're post-election, and a lot of people are anticipating that the economy is going to grow,
Yep.
and so forth. And so, what has that done, to the housing market? And I know you want to talk if you're interested in selling right now. What
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are coming to that conclusion that, hey, housing values are up. I'm sure that these discussions are taking place because my wife and I have had the same discussion,
Mm-hmm.
right? Values are up. We're at that stage in life. We could downsize. We could this. We could that. For us, what am I talking? It all comes back to your why.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a good time for you to sell? Maybe. It depends on you. The fact is that you probably have received a big increase in valuation over the last few years. Now,
Yeah.
we're not seeing the 10%, 15% appreciation a year, but if you bought something, 20 years ago, and you were to go to sell it today, how much equity will you have? And what's equity, right? The difference between what you'd sell it for and your expenses and how much you owe on it. If you own it outright, you've got a lot of money tied up in equity in your house. Now, nationally, the research for the show, the average homeowner has $329,000 worth of equity. Well, that's not our average homeowner.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say in Kosciuszko County,
Mm-hmm.
right? When the average sales price is 200 and some thousand, how could you have 300,000?
But this has
equity?
been a much more affordable place to live.
Absolutely, our affordability is very good.
Yeah.
Even though people complain about it, Warsaw's expensive, this, that, or the other thing. Check other areas
Yeah,
for
right.
what you get.
Yeah.
Right, for what you get. So, bottom line, people are having these discussions, talking about is now the right time to sell because the equity level, the valuations on the homes are pretty high. The negative side to that is, what am I going to buy? Am I going to buy something? I'm buying at that elevated level as well. But you have to do the math yourself. You have to calculate and say, okay, I'm in 3,000 square feet. We really only need 1,500 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
If I sell my house, can I pay cash for what I'm buying? If you can, that may be the right decision for you. If you're going to finance it, well, you're going to have a lot of equity coming out of your house. Your mortgage is going to be lower if you can't pay cash. But the negative to that is interest rates.
Right.
They're still 7%. We were hoping they'd settle between 5 and 6.
Right.
6 to 7.
That will make the market explode when they do, but
Absolutely,
but they
they're
haven't
not there
gone
yet.
Yeah, they
They're
haven't
not
gone
there yet. We did see a bounce down
Right.
in September, October, and sales took off. Imagine that.
Mhm.
People started buying. You saw, rates drop, but they've gradually inched back up.
Well, I wonder if the Fed saw like inflation, going back up because they increase interest rates to curb inflation.
Yeah.
So I wonder if the reduction in the inflation was as good as what the Fed
As what they thought.
As what they thought.
We could debate that. The fact is, it's historical data. You're looking backwards. You're not looking forward.
Right.
Who can predict what's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
In the future? It's easy to predict what happened in the past, right? And unfortunately, the Fed's looking at backward-looking data and then trying to predict what's going to happen when they do this, that, and the other thing. The reality is, you still have to make the right decision for you. So I'm sure that those discussions, just as my wife and I are having those, should we sell our house now? Go to something different? I don't know.
But I have been told and I think by you, if I'm not mistaken, that if you're wise, I need to sell now, then do it because, or buy now or
Yeah.
whatever it may be,
Right.
because when rates do drop, you can always refi.
Absolutely.
And if the numbers, are to your liking, you can always, do a refi that's going to be in your benefit.
You could always refi. The reality is we all need a place to live. We need to be comfortable where that is. If the time is right for you to downsize, right? Don't let all this chatter and predictions and all of those things drive your decision. Make your decision for you. And you've got the numbers. The facts are what they are. It's like the people that are hanging on. Well, I'm going to wait to buy until interest rates are 3%. Those people are going to be long-term
You're going to be
renters.
waiting a long time, or
Right.
and when the market crashes.
Right. All of those things. You still have to use the information that you've got to make the decision that's best for you and your family today. And if the decision is, hey, we should sell, because for all of these things that we're talking about, I'm throwing out reasons and examples. Hey, you'll take advantage of equity, this, that, and the other thing. That's meaningless in the grand scheme of things. It's specific to the individual and their family. What makes the most sense for us? You need to evaluate that data and go. What I'm saying is, you could take advantage of the market if you went ahead and sold today.
All right, very good. More on this topic coming up next. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Welcome back. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm Woody Zimmerman here with Mark Skabowski of Remax Lakes, and we're just talking about the benefits if you were to sell right now. A lot of people have a lot of equity in their homes, but let's talk about how the market is. I know inventory has always been a problem, or has been a problem for the past several years. How's inventory doing now?
So it's improving. I mean, we're starting to see more inventory. I think back to the dark days, and we used to say 07, 08 were those dark days.
Yeah.
Now we would say COVID, as far as inventory goes, the dark days, where there were very few homes for people to buy. You had one shot, you had multiple people looking at that one. Not the case anymore. We're starting to get towards a more normal market as far as inventory goes.
Okay.
But that does not, and people are reducing prices. I'm not going to, say, oh no, prices are hanging up there. They're not moving. People are adjusting to the market. They are adjusting their pricing to the market. We see more and more price reductions taking place, but there's not going back to 2019 levels. I guess that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
You've missed the boat on the peak, but people still need houses to live in. If your house is something that's in a location and a condition and a layout, the right school system, all the reasons that buyers make decisions, if it's in the right spot, it'll definitely sell. But many people, while they're having this discussion about selling, is, well, maybe we should rent it. Maybe we should rent our house.
Yeah.
Maybe you own it outright, and your cost of ownership, that's a term that we use as agents, right? What's it cost you to hold on to that house if you could afford to purchase something different without selling your house? And there are those, in my generation, my age group, if you've been in a house for 25 years, 30 years, it's probably paid off. Unless, of course, you've refied. But in general, if your house is paid off and you own it outright, what's the risk to rent it? Well, there's a lot of things, and you can speak firsthand.
Well, as a landlord, I'll tell you what. So I got into the game, it was 2017, and basically where rents are at right now, I'm charging double of what I was charging before, and I don't want to sound like a greedy landlord, but that's because I talked to the other landlords in the area, and they're all charging that, and it's like, no, I'm getting that easily. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
And so you can make a lot of money with rentals.
However, what's the but?
Yeah, but when somebody loses their key, or the toilet, won't flush, or the refrigerator's leaking, who gets a call? That's me.
Yeah, there are trade-offs for everything, right? And people say, well, landlords are just taking advantage of the system. They're this, that, and the other thing. I get all of that, right? We go on vacation, we do an Airbnb, right? If my remote doesn't work on the TV, what am I doing? I'm reaching out to the person that rented me the property. Hey, TV doesn't work, Wi-Fi doesn't work, the refrigerator quit working, all of those things. If you're a landlord, you have to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
You have to be prepared that you're going to get those calls on Christmas Day that the heat is out. And there's no, oh, hey, I'll come and take care of it later.
Right. No.
Right? Because tenants, don't want to deal with that.
You've got to be responsive.
You've got to be responsive
Yes.
to that. I mean, because that's what being a good landlord is about. I mean,
Right.
that's only fair. They're paying you rent for a property. You should take care of it, maintain it, and be there. That's part of the reason that they're renting is they don't want to deal with maintenance issues.
Right.
They don't want to deal with all that stuff. That's what you're getting paid to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, those folks that are thinking about that, should I put my house in rental? I would say think about that because
Mm-hmm.
there's some negatives to being a landlord. And I can't say that I've ever been one myself. I chose not to, although I'm jumping into that foray. I've got a duplex here in town that I'm going to put out in rent. I'm an agent. I could go find people. I hired a property manager
Mm-hmm.
to do it. And does it cost me? Yes, it does. But the reality is that takes all that stress away from me.
Yeah.
They find the people to put in there. They interact with those tenants. They do all of those things. It's just easier. I'm willing to pay that. Now,
Mhm.
some would not. Some would say, Mark, you're crazy. You can do it yourself. You can put it out on Facebook and do it. And you see it all the time.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people here in town that are out on Facebook Marketplace, home for rent, apartment for rent. I'm not knocking that at all. If that's what you choose to do, fine. I don't want to give up my free time
It comes down to time.
to have to maintain that or take care of that.
Yeah.
I'm willing to write a check for it
Yeah.
versus having to take care of it. But those are the things. Are you really ready to be a landlord? Are you ready to take that on? As you're going through this decision, should I sell my house or should I go ahead and rent my house?
Mm-hmm.
If you need to move because you want to get closer to family, that's where people are struggling with it. My generation,
Yeah.
our kids are older. We're trying to get closer to grandchildren. I've
Yeah.
read a couple articles about that. Grandparents are following their kids around because they don't want to be away from the grandkids, and I'm in that boat too.
Yeah.
Where my grandkids are, I want to be.
Yeah.
They're thinking about it. Hey, should I lease my house or not? If you're remote, could you imagine being geographically separated and having to try to maintain
Mm-hmm.
your
Yeah,
existing house?
Right. No.
Right? I mean, what the maintenance is that goes into it, the raking the leaves, cleaning the gutters, keeping beyond the making sure everything works. There's still yard maintenance, there's all that stuff. So,
Right.
bottom line, if you're thinking about selling right now, it's not a terrible time. It's not as
Mhm.
good as it was, but it's
Mhm.
still a good time to be selling. If you're thinking about being a landlord and renting your house, there is definitely opportunity. There's a lot of people that are still looking for rentals in our area. There are definitely opportunities there. You just have to have those honest discussions
Mm-hmm.
and honest thought process. Am I willing to take this on if I'm going to go ahead and rent? Because there are property managers out there that will take care of it for you if you choose to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, definitely a lot of good ideas in there. Definitely a lot of good questions that you need to ask yourself.
right, you need to ask yourself.
What am I willing to do?
Correct.
So,
What
all
are you
right.
prepared to do? Sean
Yes.
Connery in The Untouchables.
Oh yeah, yep. All right, your contact info.
Website, skabowskiteam.com. Phone numbers 574-527-0660.
And spell Skabowski.
Two skis with a bow in between.
Two skis with a bow. All right. You've been listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Have yourself a wonderful weekend.